So our speaker today is Alecia-Huck of Maverick & Company, a local sales and marketing consulting firm. If you haven't heard Alecia speak, you're in for a treat. She's fantastic. She got her start in the School of Hard Knocks, literally, because she worked for a company called Southwestern, and she went door to door for 4 summers knocking on people's doors, selling them books to improve their kids' education. So if you can't learn sales there, you're not going to learn it, let me tell you. And she became a full-time recruiter for them, and of course, top salesperson and manager. So that's who's going to be talking to you. She's completed over 30,000 cold calls before she was 30. So that's, whatever the math is, that's 1,000 a year. And since then has become a sought-after national speaker and trainer, working with hundreds of professionals to help them get more clients and more referrals without cheesy, high-pressure sales techniques and tactics. She created the Tangle Web strategy for efficient networking, recognition sales, and marketing, and teaches a series of classes through Maverick University on subjects from 60-second commercials, 101, to advanced leads, group strategies, to anything and everything about sales. This lady is the bomb, and we're in for a treat here. So now we welcome Alecia.
Yay! Hello, fine people.
Hello.
Hello. From way in the back. Hi. Okay, good. So you guys are here to learn about sales and marketing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure,
Well,
why not?
feels like fine, I'm here, whatever you want to do. Well, let me start here, you guys. When it comes to sales and marketing, one of the things that happens in our culture is we have sort of a guru culture. And by that I mean there is somebody out there who will teach you the way to do something, right? And there are 700 people and they got 700 perfect the ways. You should just do it their way, and if you would stop being such a loser and just do it the way they taught you, you'd be very successful, right?
Right.
But have you ever gone to something and it was really good and you tried to implement it but you just kind of couldn't because, you know, it just didn't really fit, didn't really feel comfortable, wasn't really for you? I think that people have a success type, almost like a blood type. And if my success type isn't a match for yours, my techniques are not going to work for you, right? So what I want to encourage you to do today is whatever you do in the realm of sales and marketing that feels good to you and that produces results for you, you should keep doing that, okay? And what I want you to do is listen to this session with an ear for what doesn't necessarily work so great for me, right? Where are the spots where you're either doing something that you don't like doing, and people keep telling you, you have to do this to be successful, right? Real estate agents always tell me that it's when they're, making those calls, oh, by the way, I'm never too busy for your referral, right? That kind of thing. The things that you don't feel comfortable with, that's where you want to listen from today, right? The things that they tell you to do that you don't want to do. The things that you're doing, but they don't work for you, right? Or the things that you're doing that's producing results, but you're getting the wrong people and you don't like them, right? If we're honest, we all end up with clients that we don't necessarily love, right?
Okay.
So, that don't pay.
The freebies.
Yeah, we don't want to do any more of that, okay? So I want to give you permission to use what you get today that works for you. If it doesn't feel like a good fit, that's okay, right? But a lot of this may be a good fit, okay? So I want to show you a couple of different things here. There are things that our brains get trained to do. Oh, thanks so much, Sarah. Everybody, this is Sarah Crow. She and her brother Stephen produce all my seminar series, and they are fabulous, in case you need something produced or an event. There are models in our head that tell us how we're going to think, right? There's a model that we have here in the United States that there's a particular side of the road that we drive on, right? And even if you've never driven a car, that model, if you grew up here in the States, is deeply ingrained in your brain, right? Okay? So if we took somebody who had never driven in the United States and we taught them to drive in London, it would still take them a while to adjust, right? So the place that I want to start with you guys today is to talk about what we call the old model of sales, okay? Because this is the model that is in your brain, whether you've ever had sales training or not. And I know some of you have had lots of sales training, right? Some of you have led sales training. Some of you have had no sales training and you're kind of starting out at the beginning. But the old model of sales is how you think about sales, whether or not you've ever done it. Just like even if you've never driven a car, this is how you think about driving. I call the old model of sales the Deal and Doug model of sales. Okay? So here in Colorado,
I have to tell you that I know Deal and Doug personally.
I have to tell you, I love Deal and Doug.
Oh, sure, he's got great commercials.
I think he's
It's fun.
fantastic. fantastic, and he's a grown man in spandex who will do anything to sell you that car. Right? And that is the model of sales that a lot of us are used to, right? It's a persuasion model, okay? So Dealin' Doug gets on TV and he will do whatever it takes. He's got discount TV, and I do honestly love that guy. I want to meet him, so if you can hook that up, that would be fabulous.
Actually, through somebody else, but I kind of know him.
Sure, he's one of my best friends that I only know through someone else. Okay, so that's a persuasion model, right? It says that if I meet you, I can say the right thing in the right way with the right voice intonation, and I can make you buy, right? There's something about that that doesn't necessarily feel good to some people, right? And as a consumer, how many of you have been on the other end of that? And it really doesn't feel good, right? It's based on the idea of persuasion and that sales is really a numbers game, right? You just need to see enough people and speak persuasively enough, and you can make them buy and have a thriving business. The problem with that is that this model is basically designed for products. So if you're selling a product, right, and it originated a long, long, long time ago. So if you think back 200 years, you had a very different kind of consumer, right? The consumers had all the knowledge, or I mean the sellers had all the knowledge, the sellers had all the sales training, right? But the consumers that we have today, they have both knowledge and sales training. You ever had somebody use a sales technique on you that you know, and you're like, oh look, he's gonna do the ABC, da-da-da, right? You already know, and then immediately the conversation doesn't feel genuine anymore, right? It's like scripted. You feel like you're in a play, but it's not you and a real person, and your interest in buying tends to go down even if it stays, even if it's high and you actually do buy, you're kind of a little, it's weird, right? So this model developed for product sales. The problem is we have a very different kind of consumer, and most of us don't sell products anymore. Most of us sell services. So, listen, I can do product sales. I was a door-to-door salesman for 5 whole summers. I was a full-time manager. I recruited college students and trained them to be great door-to-door salespeople. I'm good at it. But when I started consulting, a lot of that stuff just didn't work anymore because I couldn't persuade somebody like Sandy to buy from me, because if it wasn't really a good fit, eventually Sandy was going to figure that out. Right? Have you ever been sold a service and later the relationship just gets worse and worse, or maybe as the seller you have a client and all this, it's work and you don't like them anymore, but they're paying you money, and that's awkward and unpleasant, right? So we want to talk today about what I would call the new model. Okay? I want to give you a different way to think about sales and marketing. Now, as I do this, one of the things that you should know is your brain is going to take a while to retrain it for a new model of sales and marketing. Right? Your brain, just like driving on a particular side of the road, that's what your brain knows. Even if you've never had that formal training, your thinking starts here. So when you go into sales meetings, you go in thinking, what do I have to say? Like, I got to say the right thing to get them to buy, right? And when you send out email blasts, right, or you think about a promo for an event that you're having, you're thinking, what's the thing I got to say that will persuade them to show up, that will get me a lot of people, right? For most service providers, this absolutely won't work. One, because they're not very good at persuasion. They're just not that good at it. They're not that practiced in the skill and the art. And two, a lot of these techniques feel manipulative to them. So they're not comfortable with them, they're not going to do them. The second thing is, they don't have time to play a numbers game because they have to service the people they sold. If you're an attorney, you don't get paid for making sales, you get paid for billable hours. Right? So for many of us, where our money comes from is as a consultant sitting down and actually doing the work with the team, or as a coach doing the work with your clients. So if you're not doing that work, if you're out trying to sell it to somebody else, you're not making money. It's not the sale that makes you money, it's providing the service. So when we look at a model for service providers, we have to think differently about sales. Okay? The model that I'm going to propose to you today is a recognition model.